They have internet on the internet. You have someone come to your house. Okay, we're back. So we'll move on to our second project of the night, which is project 9546 DG Markets at 3972 Walden Avenue. Hello?
Good evening. Mark Romanowski here again on behalf of the Broadway Group. We have a PowerPoint presentation of some updates that we made since the last time we were before you. So when we were with you last, it was the first time we had presented the revised site plan with access directly onto Walden. So that was the significant change at the last meeting. We heard some comments regarding that. In particular, some comments from the neighbor to the, get my compass direction correctly, east. And so part of what we did there is we changed the screening along the east side, and then we also extended the 8-foot fence further all the way past the gentleman's house that was adjacent to it. So we made some additional changes to it. We also provided a updated traffic impact study that looked at, whether there was any significant change from traffic, really sight lines and concerns about access to the facility as a result of moving it to Walden, and not surprisingly, there wasn't any. And Walden Avenue in that particular area, one, can carry a lot of volume because of the number of lanes, and two, you have very good sight distances. So while typically at those speeds you need about 650 feet, they have 12 to 1,500 feet. So it's, the sight distances aren't affected by the, by moving the location. So, so we can move through the PowerPoint. Thank you very much. We also provided sign renderings at the last meeting. You asked what the signs were going to look like. So it's a monument sign. It's in the presentation, it's in the materials, but it's a monument sign that's being provided. Just updated architectural, not much change there. We talked about the traffic study, and then we'll discuss sort of where we are in the overall review process. So next slide. So here you can see the changes highlighted. Tara did a nice job highlighting the changes in the landscaping in green, and then the change in the fence in orange. So the fence was already 8 feet on the back side of the site. That was something this board asked for several meetings ago, so that was already there. So now we've extended even further down, and now it's completely past the home of the gentleman next door. So you got an 8-foot fence there, as well as additional vegetation on that side. I'll pause there in case there's any questions or comments on the revised landscaping and fencing. Okay, seeing none. Next slide. This is what the sign will look like. Again, monument sign. It's about 4 feet tall by 6 feet in length, with some brick at the base, and then it's a backlit sign that has the DG Market on it, double-sided sign. So, and this is at the northwest or southwest corner of the site. Okay, next slide. Here's just, again, updated rendering. The signage wasn't shown in previous renderings because we didn't have it fully worked out, but now it's fully worked out, and so that's been added to that. The rest of the store, as far as the look goes, has not changed. So it's the same we've been showing you now for a few months. Next slide. What did the traffic study look at? I talked about it a little bit. One of the big things was existing traffic volumes, gap data analysis. That goes to the safety issues of getting in and out of the site. What were the speed measurements? Not surprisingly, somewhere around 5 over. That's pretty typical for most roadways. The site distance we talked about, operational data, the number of trips generated by the facility, the ability to accommodate the parking that would be needed, that was all provided as well. Try to get away from the mic a little more. And then just background data, which was interesting and actually not surprising. And we've seen it pretty consistently since COVID that traffic volumes as a whole have gone down. So the predicted traffic volumes from the last traffic study don't match the actual traffic volumes. The actual traffic volumes have been less. So we've seen that in every project I've worked on since 2020. So that's been a pretty consistent theme. Next slide. Again, we talked about, I just covered this, the lower than historical averages. The traffic count was done while school was in session, so it would be the highest volume that you would likely see. The peak generation of a Dollar General is relatively low. It's about 20 trips in the morning peak per hour, so that's 20 vehicle trips per hour during the morning peak, and then 40 trips in the evening peak hour. That tends to be when most of the traffic goes in and out of the stores, people coming home from work and stopping to grab whatever they might need. Next slide. I was a little off, so 650 feet was what's required by federal standards, and there's 1,500 feet available in this particular location. Again, long stretches, no obstructions. That area really doesn't have a sight distance issue. Next slide. As I alluded to earlier on, the traffic study concluded that this relatively low number of vehicle trips will not have any measurable impact on Walden Avenue, given the volume that Walden Avenue can handle and has. Also, equally, because of that, it's not going to be a noticeable change to Quail Run operation adjacent to it. About a 1.5% increase in traffic from what's there currently. So, de minimis. We talked about he also looked at the gaps, so there's enough gaps. That's the other thing with turns, right? You've got to have a gap to make a turn. So they want to measure what those gaps are. Are they long enough to safely make the movements? And they found that that there was. Also, we looked into the traffic accident history in the area, and there was no notable history. Which every intersection has some, but nothing that really stood out. And as a result, he concluded that no mitigation was necessary for this facility at this location. Next slide. So this is just kind of a rundown of where we've been with this board. We had changes to the facade. There's been screening increases along the way, most notably along the north side and now the east side. A few meetings ago, we talked about better pedestrian access off of the sidewalks from both Walden and Quail Run, made sure they were very clear to the front of the store. The sign package you didn't have. You had very little details previously, so we provided the full rendering on the sign package. We always had full cutoff, dark sky compliant lighting, but along the way we provided the spec sheets for those, so you have the actual equipment that would be used on the site. And then the traffic study, part of the reason for the traffic study as well is we're sort of at a conflict. The neighborhood doesn't want access on the Quail Run, but both the town code and the DOT have this standing policy that they want access onto lower volume roads as opposed to higher volume roads. But certainly we heard loud and clear what the neighborhood had to say, and I think this board felt the same way, that it didn't make a lot of sense for that access on the Quail Run. So we relocated it over to Walden Avenue, but as part of that, we have to now get a waiver for the access management overlay district, because we're no longer following with that requirement that you put it on a side street. Next slide. Where are we? So tonight from this board, we're looking for a recommendation on negative declaration under seeker. We're also looking for a recommendation on site plan approval so that we can move forward with the town board process. Ed just got back to us on engineering review, and I think we're in pretty good shape there. Matt and I are working through the variances and some interpretation issues that we're going to be going to the ZBA about. The next ZBA meeting was one of them, is an interpretation issue, and then we expect after the town board addresses the seeker issues, make a formal determination on their end, then we'll be back in front of the ZBA on the remaining variances that we have with this revised plan. And then this driveway variance, we need you to at least weigh in on it because that's part of the access management overlay district that applies to the site. So that's sort of where we are procedurally, and I think that's it for our presentation, other than a slide that says questions. So,
Cindy, if you could
Questions?
slide back up to number 11. I want to make sure that the audience is very aware of where we are and where the steps are, the next steps, because that will have a lot of, there'll be a lot of back and forth, I'm sure, when we start to have our public discussion.
yeah, certainly. And again, this is, we're sort of slowly moving through the process, and we still have to work through things with the ZBA and the town board.
Absolutely. Understand.
Now, do you have any questions? Does the board have any questions?
Any questions from the board, questions or comments from the board?
Do you have a waiver from the DOT?
So the way the DOT, the game that we have to play with the DOT is this. We need the town to show support for the request to go to Walden Avenue in order for the DOT to pull off of their stance of forcing us onto Quail Run. So we're hoping that the town is going to give us that because that's what the town wants, and that's how we have to proceed with them. That's just the way they operate with these.
And do you need variance from the overlay district?
The overlay waiver that we need is for the same reason, that the overlay recommends or almost requires that we would put it on Quail Run. That's what the overlay district says. So for the similar reason, that's why we need the waivers to say, hey, everybody here thinks Walden Avenue is a better driveway location, and therefore we're seeking that waiver. So it's the same issue, just different boards. Sure, of course. Everybody.
The ZBA, of course, can't act until we do seeker, but
Correct.
could you go over again quickly what those area variances were? There were setbacks from the west side.
Yes, so I'm going to do some of these from memory, so apologize, and meanwhile Tara will look very quickly and make sure I'm right. So we had a setback for parking and driveway areas off of Quail Run. So it's considered a frontage, and it needs to be 30 feet off of it, and we're 25 feet off of it. So that's one of them. On the opposite side of the site, we have setbacks relative to the driveway, number one.
Right.
We also have a variance relative to there's a nuanced provision that says you can't have a loading area that blocks a parking spot, and there's some parking spots along that side of the building where the loading bay is. Yes.
But wouldn't that most likely be employee parking there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the side, kind of the back of it. I mean, that we don't expect customers are regularly going to be in there. And,
Right.
as we talked about, we're talking like 2 or 3 trucks a week. So it's not a constant, point of conflict. And then there was also a front setback off of Walden, if I'm remembering correctly, as well. Matt's nodding at me. And that was I think the fourth and final variance that we needed.
Was there a parking lot one too?
Oh, parking, I'm sorry,
spaces?
parking numbers, yeah. So the parking numbers, I think the code required like almost 100, and we're at 35, which is consistent with all the stores of this size have, and we found that that's more than adequate.
I've never seen people parking on the street in front of a Dollar General because there wasn't parking. I have one last question.
Sure.
Do you consider it a bike rack?
Sure, we could put a bike rack in there, no
I'll tell you,
problem.
I ride my bike to places and run quick errands, and there's never a bike rack, so I take it right into the store. I wheel it up and down the aisle, and sometimes they come up to me and say, you can't bring your bike in here, and I go, well, where's the bike rack to lock it to? And they never have one, so
Yep.
they usually just leave me alone.
Actually, we wouldn't have any problem with it here. I mean, we're near a neighborhood, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, we can add a bike
You
rack.
know, there's gotta be a spot
Yeah, in front of the store, there's room there. Yeah.
where you can, if you wanted to lock a bike, that it doesn't hang on the sidewalk, you know, it has to be placed so that you put your bike where it's not on the sidewalk.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
I don't know if you're ever gonna get anybody like me who would ride the bike to run a quick errand, but kids are probably gonna come down that sidewalk and come into the store to get
Sure,
junk food or
whatever,
something,
right,
you know?
yeah. I used to do it all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah,
so.
and so I'm thinking if you had a bike rack where it was convenient for them, it might be
Not a problem. I think it's a great
Make
suggestion.
sure it's e-bike compatible.
e-bike compatible, you don't need to have a plug.
Yeah, they're all a little wider now, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So your meeting on the 13th of this month is specifically for a interpretation
Yeah,
only, right?
only interpretation at that meeting. They couldn't act anyways. There hasn't been a secret determination by the town board.
Right.
So we had to wait for that anyways. We were hoping we were going to do all the hearings all at once, but that's not going to happen. That's just not the way it's set up. It's fine. Next month, we'll be back in front of the ZBA on the variances.
Okay. And that would be for the variances that we just talked about?
Correct. Correct.
And potentially one more, depending on how your meeting goes?
Yeah, it's, the whether or not we need a variance from the overlay district versus the waiver, it's not, we sort of don't qualify on the waiver side, so maybe it's a variance, and that's what we got to figure our way through, that's all.
Any other questions from the board or comments? Ed, engineering.
No, engineering was fine.
Okay. Emily, you go.
Nothing to add.
Matt? Okay, at this point, we'll open it up for the public input. Absolutely, sir. Come on up. We'll start the clock 15 minutes from as soon as he gives his name.
I'm going to hold the 3 minutes.
You can talk for all 14 if your neighbors are.
Oh, I know, they got other people to talk to. So, my name is Don Harder, H-A-R-D-E-R. I live at 14 Hunters Drive in the Quail Run subdivision. I've addressed the board before, and I guess I'll address you again. The question, we've come a long way with the plan, you know, there's no doubt about it. But the question to us still remains, why is Dollar General looking to put a 10,640 square foot building on such a small lot? They need 5 variances in order to do that. In one of the presentations, the early presentation, it was brought forth that it's a Dollar General market, which is trying to target a more household area and for higher revenue. We've already said we're not going to shop there. The Quail Run subdivision, the Stony Brook subdivision has already said no, you know, so I don't know where they're going to get their higher revenue, which brings a concern. If you have seen on the web just recently that Dollar General has closed more stores in the month of January than it has opened. So they're technically, everybody's having financial problems. They're not avoiding that, and they're closing stores. So, and our concern is, if the store goes through, what happens when it closes? Another business is going to move in there, and it can be a gym, it can be whatever, manufacturing. And with 35 parking spots, and they have more employees or more customers, where are they going to park? They're going to park on Quail Run, because you can't park on Walden Avenue. So that's still our standpoint. Why go there when you're squeezing it in and you're asking for variances? Some of the comments previously were what size truck? And comments were made that it would be a 40-foot box truck. You guys could share. I didn't make enough as usual.
Thank you.
I thought I did. And on the plan, it shows a full 53-foot bed, box bed.
Oh, I appreciated the notes you made for me. It was
Yeah.
saving me some effort.
So if you take a look, the first photograph is a Dollar General delivery truck at 3230 Walden Avenue. It is, go to the second page, it's a 53-foot box, or a 53-foot trailer. When you add the cab on top of it, the overall is 73.5 feet. And there was a question at the last meeting, why is that showing up there? And the Broadway group said, well, the traffic engineer put it on there just to show it would fit. Not true. They're going to use the overall 70-foot truck. You have got 5 Dollar Generals within a 5-mile radius. I don't think they're going to change trucks just to turn around and deliver supplies to this place. So in the next page, you'll see, and it's down in the lower right-hand corner of the tractor, it's 53 foot. That's where it's marked. If you take a look at the next picture, this shows a vendor delivery. This is the Broadway store. You see the vendor delivery to the front of the store instead of the loading dock on the side building. So, and again, Broadway Group does not direct what they do. After they're said and done and the building's built, Dollar General now runs it. And if you see, they don't pay attention to the loading area. They let their vendors park wherever they want. And if you, it's not really visible, but if you look at that truck, that is a semi. That's a Molson delivery truck, and it's an overall semi. Go to the next slide. We've noticed this is 5807 Broadway. Now on the plan, it shows that there's an area for the dumpster, and it's basically 2 dumpster spots. But there's an issue. There's cardboard racks that these stores use for recycling their cardboard, and they stick them outside the fenced-in area. And you can see in the picture, there's the racks. I don't know if that's happening on this location, but I would assume since it's happening at Broadway, it's going to happen here. Go to the next slide. This is the City of Buffalo Dollar General cardboard area. You can take a look along the house in blue. That's all cardboard, and it's not within an enclosed area. I don't want to pull into my subdivision and out of my subdivision and look at these racks sitting there waiting for pickup. So if it's enclosed, that'll help out the situation. And next, I think you've already addressed this. Concern was the new sign going up. How far is it going to be set back from Walden Avenue? You can see that the Newmark for sale sign really does restrict our view looking east if you're trying to pull out. So that's the signage. Hopefully the new sign, if it goes through, is going to be set back far enough where it doesn't restrict the view of people pulling out of the Quail Run subdivision. We got a lot of new drivers, and I'd hate to see an accident happen there. I appreciate your attention. I know you guys don't reject things. You don't say you cannot build. But there is 5 variances that have to be approved, and we will be at the zoning board to talk about those.
I would strongly recommend that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Feel good about that? Okay. Would you like to, please, if you could,
Yeah, sure.
answer some of those points?
The truck issue, we can keep going around and around on that, but regardless, the site plan shows that a 53-foot trailer on a tractor and trailer can be accommodated there, so it's a non-issue. Relative to the sign, it's going to be 15 feet off of the property line, so it's going to be set back a pretty good amount back from the intersection, so we don't expect that's going to affect sight lines, and it's within the code requirements as well. So that's not something we're seeking a variance for on the signage. Anything else?
Will there be cardboard racks?
Cardboard. That's one we actually encourage boards to put conditions on the approvals regarding outdoor material storage, cardboard being certainly one of the larger ones. That gives the municipality the ability to actually enforce it if they're not doing it. So that's something we strongly encourage for approval. So if there's things like that this board would like, I would recommend that you add that to your recommendation.
And I know we've talked about this before too, but why in this location?
Well, I mean,
Is there an
there's no easy answer, right? You know, you gotta find a site that's available. You gotta find a site that's priced appropriately for it. You've got to find a site that's zoned properly. I mean, there's a number of factors that lead to it. And then there's, of course, demographics. It's the stores are located where they feel they're going to have a customer base to service. So it's a myriad of factors that lead to sites, including things like what side of the street it's on. You know, they're thinking about where they're trying to catch their traffic from, so where they put that as part of it too.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board? No? Okay, we should move on to seeker at this point.
Didn't we start seeker before?
Have we started?
Yeah, seeker.
We've started?
We went through
Tabled
it, we flagged a few things.
Okay, so seeker
I think
was,
so. The only issue left, I think, was traffic.
Yeah, we opened seeker with, we didn't know about traffic.
Right, that was the last.
and we have a traffic study now.
Everything else was,
Yeah, because they had asked to table seeker.
Yeah, we have to table it.
So we'd have to reopen it.
And the driveway since
Right.
last,
Yeah, so I mean, it's all traffic related.
I think there was, I want to say end of December, maybe.
Yeah.
Was the last time we touched on it.
So there's only the one question left on the form that we didn't answer, I think.
pardon?
There's only that one question on the form that we didn't answer.
Cindy's checking right now.
Yeah, we went through after we came to a sticking point, we finished the rest.
Yeah.
I left my form with one of the many other versions of this project. Fortunately, I don't have my copy.
I just want to verify that we've got it. Wait.
I had it in April. But I don't have a secret that we can. Not in minutes.
Emily, can we open up can we do it? Start it over again?
Yeah, no reason.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
It's a short form, right?
Yeah.
It's short form, yeah. It wouldn't hurt anything to start all over again, right?
No. we can go
Just to be
for it.
certain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in here.
So we need a motion to open seeker then, right?
Move to open seeker.
A second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. Question 1. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in change in the use or intensity of use of land? No or small?
Yeah.
Okay. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Number 4 is not applicable because we do not have critical environmental areas in the town of Lancaster. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
It's been answered as no.
No. Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
Nope.
No. Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No. 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No. Okay, then I will look to the board for a motion.
Move to declare a negative deck for seeker.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. We'll make that recommendation to the town for a negative declaration.
Just for the record, that discussion was held in the minutes on the December 4th meeting, and we pretty much covered everything that we had left being open.
Okay.
So, we're good.
So then we need a motion then for site plan?
Yeah, you're just tabling that, right?
Well, we have.
No? Oh, variance, is that, or we can't, yeah. So it's gotta be tabled then?
Oh, yeah, motion to table.
Tabled, right?
Oh, I move to table site plan until variance has a chance to rule.
I'll second.
Go ahead, Tony.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And the public, please remember that the dates that we put out there, we encourage you to make sure that you're at those meetings. Thank you. Thank you. Give them a second to clear out.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to you to keep track of the conditions, you know, outside storage.
Yep. Cindy, can we make a note of the outside storage for next time?
When they come back for site plan approval, we have a condition to
Conceal any
have
cardboard
have
storage.
no outside storage or recycling outside of the dumpster enclosures.
Specific to refuse or displayed out in front?
Specific to refuse,
Or recycling materials.
which would be refuse.
Well, is it?
Cardboard.
It is.
It's
I think
not,
we-
it's certainly not displayed.
I think maybe we look up some verbiage and expand on that.
Yep.
You know, like those plastic cases that
Yeah.
Tim Hortons have next to them,
Yeah.
cardboard.
Cardboard recycling is not garbage, it's recycling. And I keep them separate in my bins at home, so I think it would be different here.
I just have the one big bin.
We will make sure that we make some of it.
So next time we come, we have to make sure we read what refuse means.
Yeah.
We do, you can look it up.
I just want to make sure that we don't incorporate any display items that could
What-
be on a.
Which is what they, which is what they're.
Like a little sale
Yes, yes,
thing, right,
yes.
right.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on then to the third item, third presentation, site plan presentation, project number 4036, Catco. Mr. Blood.
Good evening. Bob Blood, GPI, on behalf of Catco Corp. Cheryl from Catco is with us this evening. For this project is a proposed amendment to a previously approved site plan from 2004. That project was for this 10,000 square foot metal building. Our proposal is for two modifications. One is the shaded area to the west is a 12,000 square foot building addition, metal building for storage, 80 by 150. There'll be no utility connections other than electricity for lighting. And the second amendment is the relocation of a detention basin, which was originally planned in this vicinity and was never constructed. We're proposing to construct a basin along the northern boundary adjacent to the railroad corridor that would accept the roof drainage from both the existing 10,000 square foot building as well as the proposed 12,000 square foot building. Can you go to the photo, Cindy? This is Town Line Road here. The existing building is barely visible from the road, and the photograph I have show you the that building is where the proposed addition is planned. in that same file where the site plan was. Building site. Thank you.
Building for the site.
There you go.
So this is standing to the east, looking down the original approved building from the site plan. This addition would occur down on the westerly end. The detention basin would be along this boundary here. And again, the purpose of this building is storage. It's to get construction materials and small equipment inside and protected and, you know, kind of clean up what you see scattered here inside. We have a stormwater facility maintenance agreement in process. We've received no other comments from engineering to date, and there's a special use permit for construction activities in a contractor yard submitted. We have no meeting dates for that hearing yet. We'd be happy to answer any questions or hear your comments.
So this will primarily be used to store everything we see there?
Primarily, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see a lot of materials here, but that would be, you know, to get them inside and protected as well. Smaller equipment.
Did you stage this for the photo so we see all the equipment out there, or is this what it looks like?
No, at the time we were visiting the site, I mean, this project was on the horizon, but we were talking about, you know, some of their long-term plans for the property as well. So just
Okay.
coincidental, but there you have a image of what the building will look like, 20
Yeah.
feet maximum height.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ed, anything from engineering?
No, they're good.
Emily, anything from legal?
No, don't have
Okay. Matt, anything from building?
I was out there last week when we reviewed the site special use permit application, and I've been seeing on the photograph behind you. Excuse me. Could you identify the silo or tank structure that's on the east side of that building? If it's water, cementitious products, powders?
Tack coat.
It's what?
It's a tack coat.
Tack coating? Okay, so it's an oil
Yeah,
substance?
it was put down prior to asphalt.
Okay. All right, yeah, we should incorporate that, maybe get some volumes in there, just so we know how much material.
Bituminous.
Stored on there. Whether or not, is it contained, and does it have all of the required safety features of a tack coat product?
I know.
Would
I
that
just
be,
want to make sure it does, so you don't have a mess
Ed,
experience.
would that
Yeah,
be
exactly.
bituminous?
What's that?
Bituminous?
Kind of, yeah. These, I mean, the DEC has regulations for secondary containment, and spill prevention, and that kind of stuff.
Matt, anything else?
That's it.
At this point, we'll look to the public for any comments or questions.
Yeah, the next one.
Okay,
special use permit. Public hearing is scheduled for 3/17.
the special use
317?
public hearing is scheduled for 3/17.
You have
St.
to
Patrick.
read.
Thank you, Cindy.
This is just a site plan review, right? So we're just, our presentation,
Just a presentation.
so we're good. right? So we will see you back at some point.
After the special use and seeker.
Or waiting for coordination.
We'll see you
Would be ready for the
April
April 2nd.
2nd. So we'll see you back in April.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were correct.
There you go. For once.
Okay, we'll move on to our last case, last presentation of the evening, last case of the evening, which is project number 1625, Spring Hill Suites at 6647 Transit Road.
Good evening, members of the board. Appreciate your time this evening. We are here with the Spring Hill Suites project, which we've discussed before. We have just kind of an update. We just provided today some engineering responses and some building enforcement responses, so I know that they haven't had a chance to review any of those. We also have, in response to some comments at the last board meeting, we will be supplying a landscape plan, tree planting plan. Also, Matt had requested a photometric plan for the entire site, so we'll be supplying that along with some additional lighting for the new parking lot. So once we have all that together, we'll be bringing that all in and adding that in for your review. So tonight, it's really a matter of seeking determination on seeker, and then if there's any other questions at this point.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
Nope. Ed, engineering.
No, I said we just got the responses, so we're starting to review.
Okay. Emily, anything from legal?
No.
Matt, anything from building?
I appreciate the photometric, and not sure how long National View is going to take to do their thing.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, National Field could not find any as-built drawings. Big shocker there. So I believe not this coming week, maybe by the end of next week, we'll be doing some test holes. Since now the snow's melted too, which is an awesome plus, to be able to do that.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we'll open it up to the public for comments. Hearing none. Look for a motion to open seeker.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And this is short form again, right? Better put something back. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
Yes, but small.
Small, right? Okay. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. 4, it doesn't apply. 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
No.
Makes a little bit more sense with their internal traffic.
Okay. 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
No.
Public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No. Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay, hearing all that, look for a motion from the board.
Move for negative deck.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. We will make our recommendation to the town board for a negative declaration. And we'll see you back here. It was April 2nd? Right?
In the future.
Yeah, it depends if they get everything in.
Okay, pardon?
It depends if they get everything in and.
Yeah,
comments.
well, and then you guys gotta have time to review it, right? The comments that just came in today. So we'll definitely see you back then. Thank you. All right, anything else that the board would like to discuss? I just want to make sure that we're all clear that for DG Markets, we were making sure that we're following the procedures that we have to in order to move it along. And I know that there is some public opposition to the project, and they've certainly got their own opinions, and they're more than welcome to them. But we just have to continue to work our way through the process and get them to where they have to get to. And I tried to stress that a couple of times.
15-minute limit per project,
15 per project.
5 per person, let's wait.
Well, we were,
Yeah.
it's written as 3 per person, but in that particular case, because there's so many people, we want to make sure that they have the opportunity.
Right.
And if they know up front that there's only 15 minutes.
Right.
Because as myself and a couple of other board members have discussed, I think that we've heard the majority of the comments
Oh, yeah.
and read the majority of what we could possibly see. I don't want to shut them out. We want to hear what they have to say, but it's, to me, it's been the same thing over and over again, just regurgitated, so.
It gives them the satisfaction of at least saying something, too.
Yeah, again, we encourage their comments, and in the spirit of being as transparent as possible, we want to make sure that we hear what they have to
Oh,
say.
absolutely.
And there's a response to those comments as well.
Yep.
Well, the comment that if the building, if they go out of business and the building's left there for reuse, they'd have to come, whoever it would be, would have to come back in.
They're going to have to meet the same
And if
requirements
they-
that anybody else
And
would
if
have.
they can't do what they wanted to do with 35 parking places, then they don't get to do it. And
Now, the
so-
parking spaces are based off of the square footage of the facility, though, correct?
Right, so.
So once we,
The type of.
Based on
yeah,
the occupancy.
What it's being used as.
okay.
So a reuse of that building, I guess I'm asking you, Matt, for something that was a couple of customers an hour or maybe 10, 15, like a dentist office or something like that, might work. Not saying it would, saying it might, and they might need a variance for parking or something. So I can't panic about what might or might not happen in the future.
If they want to put a pizza place with a bar in there, then maybe 30
I was
spaces
thinking
is
this,
not enough.
Yeah, right.
honest to God, I was gonna say the same thing,
Change
Tony.
in use amendment would require analysis. It
Right.
would require.
And anything else would have, anything that goes in there would have to be put in front of the same requirements that this particular case was.
If it's a change in use.
If it's a change in use, I mean, a mercantile occupancy can move in there, and realistically, the parking lot could be full. You know, if necessary, the no parking requirements along the Quail Run may have to be put into place depending on what really goes there.
And that's assuming that DG Market doesn't survive that.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to ask any business what happens after you if you
Right.
fail.
Right.
I mean, even, whatever personal feelings are towards the business, it's,
Yep.
Nice dry cleaner, perhaps.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments from the board here? Or things that you'd like to discuss? No? Ed, anything from engineering?
No.
Emily?
No.
Matt, anything from building? Okay, now comes the favorite part. I am going to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make that motion.
The attorney's office, so you received the large packets today that were the 3 local laws that are pertaining to the changes of the zoning map, and the general fees. So all of that, if you could please be reviewing that would be something that on the timetable that's been set forth, April 2nd would be the board's time to have any questions, comments in, reviewed, and if anyone wants to come in, sit down with any of the map, hopefully tomorrow, with your minutes.
We were supposed to get that yet today?
Distributed. The email went out today.
You
Yeah.
sent an email?
This afternoon,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
doing
this
it.
afternoon.
But the maps will be distributed, and they'll be distributed with the minutes. So if you need to print out local laws and such, yes, absolutely.
Could you please?
Absolutely.
I just crashed.
No
It's
worries.
dead.
I would-
Thank you.
I did get the email.
So did I.
2:45.
yes.
I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's dead. So if you don't mind killing a tree, I really would appreciate it.
What did you just say?
You want
Tony,
to
it
pick the
depends on the
species?
type of tree. Yeah, let's talk about what type of tree we're taking.
What species?
Use an ash tree.
Yeah, we'll start off with that.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Is that Hey, Bob.
You didn't think I was gonna let that one.
I was wondering if you were well.
You threw that ball pretty high in the air for me. I know I'm old, but
Have a nice night, everybody.
Okay, we'll see you.
I'm waiting to see if the parking lot.
See you, Matt.
Comes with trees on this island. I asked him to. He mentioned it.